You're listening to the Drummer Daily Podcast, the only daily podcast dedicated just to drummers. Go to my website at danielhadaway.com. Hello again, welcome back to another rousing edition of Drummer Daily. I'm Daniel, and you probably already know that because I think the intro that I use tells you my name. So, hi again, how you doing? Today, I want to get into something that's a little different than what I normally do. I actually want to talk about some technique stuff, some actual real hands-on stuff that you can do with your drumming. And one kind of disclaimer with this is that this is an audio podcast, and so it can be really tough for me to, that's why I don't get into too much technique with this. Like I do as much as I can, but it can be really tough to accurately describe with words only how to do this. So maybe I need to maybe start doing some like video add-ons, like some bonus material, like, cause I don't know if you know this or not, but I do a blog post over on my website, danielhadaway.com. I do a blog post for every single podcast episode that I do. Most of them have a transcript, so if you don't want to listen, you can read them. But also, maybe I could add in like a little quick bonus, like 1-minute video to show what I'm talking about. Maybe that'll be helpful. Let me know. If you think that's a good idea, send me an email, daniel@danielhadaway.com, or go to danielhadaway.com and use the form there. Just let me know. All right. Anyway, so technique. So what I want to talk about is a way that we can kind of clean up our playing a little bit, especially with ghost notes, rolls. This is particularly in what we call double stroke rolls. So if you don't know what a double stroke roll is, maybe go on YouTube, look it up. But it's just where you bounce the stick. And when you bounce the stick, you do 2 hits per hand. This is going to be really particular to hi-hat stuff when you're playing like kind of stuff on the hi-hat, or maybe doing that on the snare, like if you're doing soft rolls on the snare or something like that. And what I want to talk about is and this is like, I know that like people in different places call things different things. So this is just what we called it. We called it stroking our rolls. And what that means is people a lot of times when they learn to do like drum rolls or things like that, especially these bouncing things, they learn to really relax and like let their hands hang loose and kind of bounce the stick, almost like you just kind of let the stick fall and you catch it. What I'm talking about that can kind of be a cool way to clean up how even that stuff sounds. And this is actually a secret of a lot of hip hop guys or like R&B guys or anybody who plays like really tight, clean stuff on the drums. This is kind of a secret that they use a lot, that is a characteristic of their playing that we don't talk about much, but this is something that can really take it to that next level as far as accuracy goes with that kind of playing. And that is, if you do, let's say you have drumsticks in your hand, so you can do this, imagine if you will, or get out some drumsticks and do like a normal kind of like two hits on one hand, like let the stick kind of fall and bounce. Now, make sure your hand's really relaxed. Let the stick just kind of bounce on its own. Now, tighten your grip up a little bit and let the stick bounce again, but kind of push the bounce a little bit. Push it with your hand and make the stick bounce twice. Now tighten your grip a little bit more, and I think at a certain point what you'll see is if you're holding the sticks where you're pinching the stick between your pointer finger and your thumb, and you're bouncing the sticks, at a certain point you'll notice that the other I guess 3 fingers on your hand, the ones that kind of hang down towards the back end of the stick, they're kind of controlling the stick at a certain point anyway. And what you'll notice is at a certain point, if you can get your grip just right, you can actually almost with a really fast roll, you can actually push the stick down with your hand for each individual stroke of that double stroke roll. So each of the 2 little hits both get an action from your wrist or from your fingers. You actually are doing something. And so like, I don't know if you can hear this. I'm gonna do this on a piece of a table here, but I'm not sure if that came through really well on a podcast, but it's something that if you can do a drum roll with your hands on your legs or on like, a table or something, and do it pretty even, that's the same action as stroking your rolls. I mean that like with your hands, like instead of relying on the bounce, there's a certain amount of bounce you're getting from a drumstick, but you're still at the same time dictating and pushing each stroke of the roll through. What that ends up doing though, if you can get this kind of thing down, what that ends up happening is a lot of times when we bounce the stick on the hi-hat or whatever, you'll notice, obviously based on physics, that when you drop a basketball, for example, and the ball bounces up, the first time it doesn't bounce quite as high as when you dropped it, and every time it bounces after that, it goes a little lower, a little lower, a little lower, because it uses up its energy, its momentum, or whatever you call it. The same thing's true of drumming, but the thing is, you have to kind of find a way of counteracting that loss of momentum by adding a little extra oomph to your second stroke, to the second bounce, the second hit of a double stroke roll. So the goal should be to make that second hit as loud as the first hit in that little bounce, which can be a challenge. Now, but if you can get this idea of stroking that roll, kind of putting a little extra effort into it, you can get there. The cool thing really happens though when you can take this even a step further, where you actually end up being able to make that second stroke louder than the first stroke. So you bounce the stick once and you go da-da. And you can do that. If you do that really fast, you get these really cool intricate patterns that can add a lot of feel to your playing. So I know this is tough to explain over audio podcast, but I hope that you can at least kind of get a vision for what you should be after. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be live on my website yet, but it's at some point in the future, I will add a video that kind of quickly shows the double stroke. Maybe I'll have like an animated GIF or something. I'll figure it out. But if you're getting this in real time, it may not be there. But let me know if you don't know what I'm talking about. Actually, I'll tell you what. If you don't understand what I'm talking about and you want me to show you, send me an email, daniel@danielhadaway.com, and say, hey man, that double stroke roll thing, I don't know what you're talking about. Show me. I'll send you back a video that is me doing it so I can show you. So I hope that's helpful to you, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.